Hey everyone, this is Spencer Bauke and welcome to week 8 of the Workout Wednesday Power BI edition. This week we are going to be working on recreating this mobile type layout report using a slicer to change the metrics that are shown in your report. So we're going to use a slicer and the switch function. So this is the example report that I gave everyone in the blog and in the challenge. And so I'm going to show you how to recreate some of the main points to this. I probably won't recreate everything, but I just want to show you how I did some of the main parts. So let's hop right into this. So first, to get a mobile layout, right, we don't want to click on anything in the report canvas, or else we're going to be formatting that thing. So if we just click off and click on the report canvas, you can actually go and format right here. And so what I want to do is I'm gonna format my my canvas here, which I want to make it less wide, so I'm gonna go with 600 width and 720 for the height is fine. So now we've got a little more mobile looking per se. So I forget if I had a background color. Yeah, okay. So we have like a little background, which is, light gray. So we can come here, pick a little light gray, and we'll turn this background off here. And maybe we'll need to change the background a little bit more. Maybe add some transparency to it. There we go. Okay, that'll work. Okay, cool. So first things first, we want to create a measures table that will allow us to select the different measures from our finances fact table here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create a new table. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, it's not the way I wanted to do that. Sorry, everyone. Oops, I missed it again. Hold on. I promise I'm going to get it this time. Hold on. All right, here we go. I go use the enter data right here. I use enter data. It's a little easier for me instead of having to write code. It's, a little simpler. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to name my column measures. And then I'm going to type in the measure names that I want. So I'm going to do I want to display my total revenues, I want to display my total expenses, and then my total profits. I'm also going to put an order column in here, and I'll show you why here in a second, but it's pretty self-explanatory. I want to be able to order these and also apply some conditional formatting, so I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to come here to the name. I'm going to name this my measures table. And then that's good. I'm going to click load. And so this is going to add this table to my data model, as you can see right here. So let's create some DAX that will allow us to use a filter to toggle between each of these measures. And just I guess for context here real quick, you can go into the fact table and you can see that I have a column for total expenses, total revenues, and total profits in the data set. So I want to just be able to switch between those three fields. So hopefully that makes more sense now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, I'm going to create a new measure, and I'm going to call this measure my selected measure. And in my selected measure, I'm going to use a function called the switch function. And this allows us to return different values based upon a set of criteria, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to return the values from my measures where my value, so my total revenues, is that text. I'm going to return a sum of my total revenues. And then you can do this for the other ones, right? So it just continues to say, if it says total expenses, so I choose total expenses. And if it says total profits, then I'm going to sum my total profits. Now here's the last one that I think is important. It's an else. So if none of these are true, what do I show? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say to show my total revenues if nothing else is selected. And then formatting, here we go. Cool. So there's my selected measures tab. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to throw one of these cards on the table here on the report canvas. I'm going to throw my selected measure field on here. Right now, there's nothing on there, and I'll show you here in a second. It's mostly because, and there's a couple different approaches on how to do this, but it's mostly because there's nothing filtered right now, so it's returning it's returning all three of those values. And so that's why it's erroring out, because we didn't use the has one selected or has one value way to do things. And maybe that's a future challenge, but just for right now, I'll show you here why it's doing that. So if we go here to our slicer, right, we want to slice by this field. And I want it to be horizontal. So if you come here and you go to your general, you can switch this from a vertical to a horizontal. I just like the look of this. In this use case, you can kind of format how things look. I think they're pretty cool. This style of slicer. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that to the top, and I'm going to go under my selection controls and say single select. What that does is it means I have to have one selection at all time. Even if I click off, it's still selected. That is how I'm getting around in this instance this erroring out due to multiple values being available in that measures table. So that's how I work around it. I think it's an okay solution, especially because I don't want people to add in total expenses and revenues, because guess what? That equals total profits. So if I wanted the total expenses and revenues, I could just go to the total profits. So yeah, so that's kind of how we view that. So here, so let's get going on creating this. Let's get our title going here. And now my title text is another thing that people were asking about when we posted this on Twitter. I'm going to do this on the measures name. So now I get total profits. If I do first on the total profits, it shows up. And because I will always have one selected, it's always going to switch with me. So that's how I do that. Another thing, how to get it total revenues, expenses, profits in the filter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my measures table, because right now it's alphabetical, right? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and I'm going to sort by this column, and I want to sort by the order 1, 2, 3. I don't want to sort by the measure name. So you can set that default sort here. If we come back to revenues, expenses, profits. So now we're going to format this just a little bit. How did I have this formatted here? Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, so a couple other pieces of formatting that people were asking how I did when we posted this on Twitter is the background image. So let me show you this right now. So all I did is inserted a rectangle from the shapes, and then I turn on the background color. And what I'm going to do, let's see. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do, oh wait, why is this? Okay, Yeah, I don't want that line. I don't want it. So I can, have it match, or I can, set it to 100% transparency, or, whatever trick you want to get rid of that line. So what I am going to do to have it switch colors based upon what selection I'm doing is I'm going to come here, and in my background color, you can actually add a function. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to base that function off of my measures table again. Oh, probably my selected measure. Um, and actually, it's going to be a here. Oh, sorry, I'm choosing the wrong. It's my rules. Here we go. Wait, hold on just a second, guys. Oh yeah, right. Okay, yeah. So that's another reason, and that's what I had mentioned that earlier, is that we're doing we're added that order um, field not only for being able to sort the selectors, but to also be able to add this conditional formatting. I told you that at the beginning of the video, but I forgot it while I was teaching it. So if we go 1, right? So if the sum of the order, and because we're only selecting one value, something is always going to be sorted, right? So if the value is 1, then we're going to enter this custom color. So the custom color for my revenues is this. And then you can add a new rule. If the custom color is 2, enter the custom color for my expenses. Going to add a new rule. My custom color. Okay. So essentially, if that sort order is 1, then it's going to turn back this color. So as you can see right now, total revenues, total expenses, total profit. So that's how I get that to change. So now let's change the order of things showing up here. So we need to open up our selection pane. I don't want this shape. I want that shape to be actually in the very back. And that's how you set the how things show up, is here in this layer order. Okay, so little other piece of formatting is I'm going to choose another rectangle. I'm actually going to line this up. There. And then this background is just going to be white at all times, and then my line is going to be white. So there. So now I've created sort of that template look that people were pointing out. So what I also did, and what we also need to do now, is make sure that those shapes are in the right order. Last thing is this. I use the title from the card as the title of this little area. So what I did is I made that font color white now. And let's up the size just a little bit so people know what we're talking about. Cool. And we can squeeze this down a little bit. And there you go. Now you have most everything done that we want to do. So in terms of being able to switch between metrics. Okay, so now let's go ahead and build out the bar chart. And the bar chart was by conference abbreviation. So drag that in here. And I'll just make it let's put this right here. Okay, and so in the same way that we use that order for sorting here and then making the conditional formatting here, we're actually going to do that same thing here. So what we need to do is we need to grab that order, and if we put this in the legend, and I guess we here actually might be easier to just put the measure in the legend. Yeah, right. So if you come here, look at your data colors. This is my total revenues, right? But I want any time that shows my total revenues to show this color. Now what I do is I just flip. It takes a little bit, right? It's like it's a little bit hacky, but you know, if you want to tie all these colors together, this is a way to do it. And then I flip to my total profits, click on, get my filter, or get my my color. All right. Cool. And so now I'm going to turn my legend off. I can actually turn my Y. This is title off. We know those are conferences. And then we're just going to sort by our selected measure. So no matter what we click on, the selected measure is what you're sorting by. This is the same technique, and there was a few questions on Twitter as to how we formatted the area chart conditionally, and if you just saw me do the bar chart, now you know how we did that, right? Just by flipping through the different colors, renaming the measure, and actually because I copy and pasted this profits one here, it's already conditionally formatted for the measures. So now you're going to see those colors change along with it. Okay, so that answers a lot of the questions that we were receiving. We just have one more thing that I wanted to go over just to show people how I did something, and that is to create the current year of your selected measure. So now that we have our selected measure calculation completed from our first step, let's just create another measure called selected measure current year. And what I'm going to do, and what I like to do just kind of the way I develop, is if there's going to be things that I'm referencing if there's going to be calculations I'm going to need to do to reference within your DAX, I create a variable. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create a variable called max year, and I'm going to say calculate the max of my year. From my finances fact. And then what I'm going to say calculate. Now I don't have to say sum because selected measure is already aggregated. So calculate my selected measure. And then what I'm going to say is in my filter statement where my year equals my max year. Now I'm going to convert this to a multi-row card, and I'm going to bring my format this. Awesome. And then just to create the previous year, it's pretty simple. I just copy the DAX. I'm going to paste it in, make this previous year, and then this is fine. I'm going to do -1 to get the previous year. I can still leave this. I mean, yeah, actually, let's just change it here. So previous year, just so we're following best practices. It equals previous year. I'm going to click OK. Bring that in, format it. Now we've got our previous year, and then all we got to do for year over year, so let's do selected measure year over year, and what I always use the divide function. So I'm going to go current year minus previous year, previous year. Get it as a percentage. I always like one decimal with my percentage in this case. And then I'm going to bring it in, year over year measure. And there you go. Although it's not an exact replica of my report over here, it is pretty close. We covered all the different functionalities from the slicer and sorting the slicer to how to get the measure name to show up here, to conditionally format my area chart, my bar charts, and then how to create my current year, previous year, and year over year measures. And so that should be it. Thanks for everyone who was participating this week. We had a lot of questions and a lot of engagement on Twitter, which was awesome, asking for this video. So here it is. Sorry it was late, everyone. And hopefully this was helpful. So we will see you all next week. Bye.